I don't believe in astrology anymore because when my daughter got married, the astrologer didn't warn me that her partner is gay. That's something I've heard from a parent who was disappointed with astrology because his family astrologer failed to notice the sexual orientation of their daughter's fiance. This got me thinking, are there any old astrological texts or books or videos by astrology gurus which indicate how to find the sexual orientation of a person? Hey guys, I'm Riva. Welcome to my channel. And in this video, I'm going to share with you a few common astrological hints I've noticed in charts of homosexuals. Where I come from, before most couples marry, oftentimes their parents consult an astrologer to find out whether it's a good match. Astrologers in return give a vast amount of feedback about the potential partner and their marriage life. Of course, couples always don't listen to the astrologer. They will marry nevertheless, and sometimes they do listen. However, I've never seen an astrologer or books or texts mentioning sexual orientation as a hindrance to marriage. Perhaps experienced astrologers notice this but choose not to talk about it because it's such a taboo topic. Oh hey, don't force your child to marry because they are definitely gay. Will not be a welcome feedback, right? Since I couldn't find any material, what I did was simple. I collected charts of openly homosexual individuals, asked them to obtain birth details of others with similar sexual orientation, and tried to figure out common indicators. What I'm going to do next is share 8 example charts with you. What I want you to do is focus on planets in the 7th house, planets aspecting the 7th house lord, the Karaka of the 7th house, which is Venus, what's happening to these planets in the Lagna chart and the Navamsa chart, and look at Ketu's aspects as well. And at the end of the video, I will give a summary of my observation. Now, a big warning, I'm not a rishi and these are only personal observations, therefore I could be wrong. This is why I have a question mark in the title of the video and not an exclamation point. And there are always exceptions to the rule. This applies to astrology too. Any experienced, honest astrologer will tell you that they have seen charts where things don't make sense. Therefore, please don't jump into conclusions. I will discuss the exceptions at the end, but it's natural I could miss some of them. Side note, I'm using the sidereal zodiac for these examples, which is what's commonly used in South Asia. Let's move on to the first example. So in this first example, as you can see, it's a Gemini ascendant. Moon is aspect in the 7th house. Saturn is in the 7th house. Jupiter is the 7th house lord and Ketu is aspect in the 7th house. In the Navamsa chart, Moon is debilitated and Saturn is debilitated too with the 7th house lord of the Lagna. Now, what is this Navamsa chart and why is it so important? Navamsa chart indicates many things such as qualities of the spouse, qualities of the marriage life, your life after marriage, growth of the individual, post-marriage luck, spiritual growth, and the real strength of planets in the ascendant. For example, if a planet is exalted in the ascendant, but it's debilitated in the Navamsa, it's similar to a bodybuilder with massive muscles and strength, but who has a weak heart or liver or kidney problems and numerous health problems. Yes, they look good, they are very strong, but they have a lot of health problems. Therefore, they might not be able to exploit their strengths and they might even die soon, right? So it's having Moon and Saturn debilitated is similar to having a debilitated planet aspecting the 7th house of the Lagna. Now let's look at the second example. In this, Mars is aspect in the 7th house. It's a Aries ascendant. Saturn is aspect in the 7th house and Ketu is aspect in the 7th house, right? Venus is the 7th house lord, right? And in the Navamsa, Mars is debilitated, all right? So it's similar to having a debilitated planet aspect in the 7th house. And look at Ketu as well. It's aspect in the 7th house, Lord, and the 7th house in the Lagna. Okay, and the Navamsa. This is the third example. In this, Jupiter is in the 7th house. It happens to be the 7th house lord. Rahu is aspecting the 7th house. Ketu is aspecting the 7th house. And in the Navamsa, Jupiter is debilitated. So one can argue that a debilitated planet is in the 7th house of the Lagna, and the 7th house lord is debilitated. And again, Ketu is aspecting the 7th house in the Navamsa and in the Lagna. This is the 4th example. This is the only female chart I have in this. Saturn is in the 7th house, and the 7th house lord is Jupiter, and Ketu is aspecting the 7th house. And in the Navamsa, Saturn is debilitated. So it's similar to having a debilitated planet in the 7th house, in the Lagna. And it's with the 7th house lord of the Lagna, right? Giving the debilitated aspect into the 7th house lord. And of course, Ketu is again in the 7th house of the Navamsa. Let's look at the example number 5. In this, Saturn is aspecting the 7th house. Sun is aspecting the 7th house, right? And the 7th house lord is Mercury, which is aspected by Ketu. And in the Navamsa, Sun is fine. It's not debilitated. And Saturn is fine too. But look at the 7th house lord of the Lagna. He is debilitated in the Navamsa. So it's similar to having a debilitated planet in debilitated 7th lord in the Lagna chart, right? And let's look at another example, example number 6. In this, Saturn is the 7th house lord from the Lagna and the moon, right? And Saturn is aspecting the 7th house, and Saturn is debilitated. So a debilitated planet in the Lagna itself is aspecting the 7th house, right? And in the, you don't even need to go to the Navamsa chart. And in this one, a Ketu aspect is not observable, right? And let's look at another chart. This is a chart of Elton John. So I don't know how accurate this time is because I've never met the guy, right? So don't take this too seriously. So in this, Rahu is in the 7th house, Jupiter is aspecting the 7th house, Ketu is aspecting the 7th house, and the 7th house lord happens to be Venus because it's a Scorpio ascendant. And in the Navamsa, Venus is debilitated. All right. And let's look at another chart of George Michael, who identifies as gay. In this, Sun is aspecting the 7th house, Rahu is aspecting the 7th house, Ketu is in the 7th house, and the 7th house lord is Jupiter. And in the Navamsa chart, Jupiter is debilitated. So it's similar to having a debilitated 7th house lord. So a summary of hints of homosexuality in astrology. Every time a planet is in the 7th house or aspect in the 7th house, and when that planet is debilitated in the Navamsa, this applies. If a debilitated planet is aspecting the 7th house in Lagna chart, or a debilitated planet is the lord of the 7th house, this applies. If there are no planets aspecting the 7th house or stationed in the 7th house, you have to look at the 7th house lord. If that planet is debilitated in the Navamsa, this applies. If the 7th house lord from the moon is debilitated, this applies. If a debilitated planet is aspecting the 7th house from the moon, this applies. Oftentimes, Ketu is aspecting the 7th house or its lord from the Lagna or from the Chandra Lagna or the Navamsa. Ketu is considered as a eunuch, remember. But there are exceptions to every rule. Exceptions. If two planets are stationed in the 7th house or aspecting the 7th house, one is debilitated in the Navamsa and the other is strong, that person isn't gay. If there is a Parivartana Yoga in the Navamsa with that said debilitated planet, that person isn't gay. Of course, again, I must remind you, I could be wrong. So if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, share and comment. And it will help me immensely for my research. If you can email me or write in the comment section your birth details if you identify as a homosexual. So thank you for watching this video and see you in my next video. Goodbye.